I've carried a lot of tools in my time, but the ones that stay with you aren't the rifles you brag about, or the pistols that feel good on a range. You're dealing with threats that come from above, and usually sooner than you can spot them, you reach for a tool that doesn't need introduction. That's why the FIM 92 Stinger always sat in its own category. The first time you shoulder it, you don't notice the weight. You notice the intent. The tube feels blunt, cold, without comfort or apology. The balance pulls forward, forcing your stance into something disciplined, like it's checking whether your hands will flinch when it matters. The controls are simple and honest, but they don't forgive noise or hesitation. Every switch, every latch tells you this isn't a backup plan or a second choice. On the training grounds, it never felt fast. It wasn't meant to. You learn to respect the pause, steady the line, wait for the tone that feels clean enough to trust. That's where its personality shows itself. It doesn't hide what it demands. It wants patience. It wants clarity. It wants you to commit without illusions. Dust didn't bother it. Heat didn't shake it. And cold only made it more deliberate. The metal reminding you that not everything has to move at your speed. It never loved sudden shifts or rushed setups. Try to force tempo on it, and it pushes back quietly by making you feel every sloppy decision. Out in open ground, though, it settles into purpose. The world narrows when you bring it up. Just the target, the movement, the escape line. No chatter, no second guessing. In cluttered spaces, rooftops, power lines, tight alleys, it becomes risk, demanding clean angles you don't always get, and forcing you to rethink your plan or abandon the shot entirely. The Stinger stayed in service because it rewarded calm hands and clear intent. Not a weapon for impulse, but for decisions you can't take back. It's a steady, demanding tool for people who understand the price of a bad second and carry the weight of making sure that second never happens. When you shift from something that lets you work with space to something that on taking it away, the 9K38 Igla/Igla S comes to mind. It feels different from the moment you lift it, less forgiving in posture, a little more stubborn in how it settles against the shoulder. The balance leans awkwardly until you learn its center, and the controls aren't interested in making things intuitive for you. They ask for discipline before confidence. The first impression is a kind of quiet resistance, like the system wants you to prove you can handle its rhythm instead of the other way around. Day-to-day handling makes that clear. The tube doesn't glide into position. It drags you into alignment. The grips feel angular, almost indifferent to comfort. You get used to checking them twice during long hours, because they never quite disappear the way good tools do. In heat, it behaves predictably, but in cold, it stiffens in a way that forces you to slow down and accept its tempo. It never liked being rushed, and the more you try, the more it reminds you that haste leads to mistakes. But once the environment opens up, long ridgelines, bare fields, structured horizons, the Igla finds its place. It locks your attention forward, trims the noise out of your head, and gives you a sense of reach that doesn't rely on brute force. The cues are subtle, not friendly, but consistent once you learn to read them. In tight areas around urban clutter or uneven rooftops, it becomes a liability, pushing you to overextend or take angles that aren't safe. It doesn't adapt to messy surroundings. It demands that you do. The people who stick with it aren't looking for grace. They're the ones who value strict behavior, who want a system that follows its own rules and rewards those who respect them. The Igla stays because it's predictable in its own way. Not pleasant, not easy, but steady for those willing to meet it on its terms. When you step into colder air and tighter timing, the 9K333 Verba brings a different kind of presence. Right away, it feels more settled than the Igla, less rigid, but still not trying to be friendly. The weight sits closer to the body, the tube steadier, and the controls fall under the fingers with fewer arguments. First impression is simple. It wants precision, not force. In routine handling, it stays consistent. No sudden quirks, no hidden attitudes. It tracks smoothly when you pan across a skyline, but it punishes sloppy posture, especially during long holds. In open terrain, it sharpens your focus, giving you clearer cues without demanding constant corrections. But in cluttered ground or broken structures, it becomes hesitant, almost cautious, slowing you down in ways you can't always afford. Operators who favor the Verba aren't looking for personality. They're looking for a tool that trims the chaos without trying to dominate it. It stays because it behaves cleanly for those who work cleanly. A calm system for calm hands. Then there's the Piorun, lighter in the hands, more compact. It immediately signals mobility over brute insistence. You feel the balance shift forward, encouraging quick adjustments, quick decisions. Controls are straightforward, almost forgiving, but it still demands steady posture for reliable engagement. In practice, it thrives in short bursts. Fast scans, rapid repositions, corridors, and rooftops where you can't linger. Push it into long holds or uneven ground, and it reminds you of its limits. It won't compensate for sloppy alignment. The operators who trust Piorun are those who move fast, read the situation instantly, and respect the line between speed and precision. It stays because it fits that niche exactly, giving confidence when every split second counts. Next comes the RBS70/RBS70NG. It feels deliberate from the start, heavier than the Piorun, built around control rather than speed. The grip and sighting system demand attention, and you notice immediately that this isn't for impulsive work. During handling, it encourages measured movements, slow sweeps, steady aim, deliberate tracking. Out in open fields or across long approaches, it excels, letting you maintain a clear picture of the target without surprises. But in tight urban spaces around rooftops or cluttered terrain, it becomes cumbersome, forcing you to adjust or delay engagement. Those who carry it consistently are operators who accept that control sometimes outweighs agility. The RBS stays in the kit because it gives clarity where other systems would overwhelm, and it rewards the hands that are patient enough to work with it rather than against it. The Mistral is different again. Lighter, almost effortless to shoulder, but still precise. First impression, it feels ready, responsive, like it's listening to you. Handling it day to day, it rarely surprises. It tracks steadily, forgiving minor misalignments without breaking rhythm. In open approaches, it excels, but in cramped or uneven spaces, it demands awareness. A quick reflex won't cover sloppy positioning. Operators who favor Mistral do so for reliability under pressure, a system that responds predictably when the margin for error disappears. It stays because it delivers consistency without fuss. Moving into systems built farther east, the QW1/QW2/FN16 line carries a different energy. Straight out of the tube, it feels utilitarian. No frills, no polish, just a cold, functional presence. The balance is a little top-heavy, and the triggers demand firm hands, but everything is logical once you get used to it. Routine handling exposes the quirks. It doesn't forgive slack posture, and rapid tracking in confined areas feels awkward at first. Yet in open terrain or along linear approaches, it settles, letting you sweep with confidence. Those who stick with it value raw consistency over comfort, appreciating a system that speaks clearly when the decision window is brief. It stays because it delivers what it promises. Nothing more, nothing less. The Anza Mark II/3 is compact and approachable, almost deceptive at first glance. Shoulder it, and it feels lighter, more nimble, but still firm. It wants steady hands and clear intent. In day-to-day handling, it rarely argues, tracking predictably across horizontal sweeps and quick lifts, but it won't forgive lazy alignment or rushed reaction. In tight positions, rooftops, narrow streets, it proves its value, offering mobility without sacrificing stability. Operators who favor Anza are those who need a balance between speed and control, trusting it to respond reliably when every moment counts. It stays because it fits that niche exactly, simple, dependable, and quiet in its demands. Finally, the Chafrier 2 and Grom/Grom 2 round out the collection. The Chafrier 2 carries a compact, almost deliberate feel, solid in the hands, responsive when your posture is right, but quick to show its limits if you rush. It excels in controlled environments, giving you confidence when tracking moving threats across clear lines, yet cramped terrain or obstructed angles force caution. The Grom series, slightly heavier, leans into precision and patience. You feel every ounce of it, every movement translating into the expected result if your hands stay steady. Both remain in service for the same reason as the others. They reward discipline, consistency, and respect for their rhythms. Operators who rely on them know what to expect, and in the end, that predictability is the margin that keeps you alive. They aren't flashy, they aren't indulgent, they just do exactly what they were meant to every time, and that's why you trust them.